Alright, so we're back on the bench this morning. I was going to test this processor board in the receiver this morning, and um, I just started probing around the board a little bit before I did that, and I come across another connection that is not making sense, so I wanted to check that out. And this seems like another issue that I'm going to have to take care of here. So let's go to the schematic. Now C909 and C910, it's very similar to what we repaired before. I get connection from the minus of the cap to the minus 15 volt supply rail. I get the ground connection, but I'm missing the 15 plus 15 volt supply rail connection to this capacitor. I don't see any vias, but that doesn't mean there's not one underneath this capacitor, so I think the best thing to do is pull it up and find out what's going on. But let's confirm this with the multimeter again. So we're going to go to, all right, where is it? C909. What made me go after it was that connection right there. Kind of looked a little scary. So that is the minus 16 volt supply rail, or 15 volt. Get a connection there. And this should be the ground connection. Get it there. Get it there. And this should be the positive. And I get nothing. So, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I believe these two vias should be connected. Yep. So basically we have this going from here to here. Why they via'd this, I'm not sure. They could have just made a connection straight across. So that was kind of bizarre. So we're missing the positive 15 volt supply to this side of the cap. So I guess, like I said, the best thing to do is to pull this component up, find out what's going on with C910. All right. All right, again, we're going to flux this part up. We're going to cut some solder wick. Rotate this board. Clean the iron. All right, let's find out what's going on here. Grab my tweezers. Throw a little bit more flux on here. And we're going to see if we can rock this part off. Yeah, seemed like a little bit of solder kicked back there, so let's wick that up. Same to the other side. Oh, there is a veer under there. We could be having the same issue we had last night. Where did she go? Okay. So let's clean this up with some alcohol and be very, very careful that we don't peel up any pads. And we'll see if we can get some continuity connection between the inside of that veer and the positive 15 volt supply. At least the pads seem like they're pretty firmly planted. So that's a good thing. There has been some corrosion here though. Let's go down for a closer look on that via. Yeah, that does not look too good. Let's try and get the multimeter. Put it on the 15 volt supply rail. Probe here where we wanted it. Let's poke it down in here. That's not very comforting, is it? Oh, there it is. So the problem is here. Oh, this could be endless on this board, huh? It would take forever to go through all these vias. Nope, we're out of frame. My bad. Out of focus too. So I think the best thing to do here is the same thing we did before, is clean this out of all this corrosion. I'm just digging a little bit out with my probe tip here. Wow, okay. So I'm going to back this mic up a bit. We're going to end up flipping the board over and see if we can find the other half of this via. And see if we can do the same thing. Alright, so right there. Well, there's two pads right next to each other. Let's see. Okay, it's not that one. It's got to be those. Alright, so it looks like it's that one right there. Let's see if I can get rid of some of this reflection. Okay. Tune in some clarity. All right. Let's get some flux on that. Try and see if we can flow some fresh solder. This one's a little bit recessed, so it's a little trickier. It definitely took solder that time. So, get the solder pump, see if we can pull some of that crap up. Just going to let this iron sit on that via for a couple seconds. Let it heat up. Okay, same as before. She pulled through pretty much all the way. And put some fresh flux in here. New solder. Okay, get some new piece of 30 gauge wire to stick through there. And we'll see if we can force this down in. Okay, good. We'll just bend that over for now. Go to the other side. Get this back in focus. Alright, we'll roughly look like we were right where we want to be. And bend this away a little bit because I'm going to scrape this off a bit. Q-tip, some alcohol. Let's put a little flux down. Again, I'm only going to go fold this over enough to just make the connection onto this trace. I'm going to snip it so we can still utilize the pad for the capacitor. Down and just throw a little bit of solder on there, because once we put the capacitor on there and solder it, it's going to flow anyway, but we want to make sure we have something there. Alright, so where's the capacitor? Just going to flick some of the solder off the legs. Okay. That looks pretty clean. I don't think we have to clean it any more than that. But we will throw some fresh flux down. I will be washing this entire board down in isopropanol once I'm done, because there is still some flux under all these capacitors. So I will be putting it in a bath of alcohol when this is properly working. Alright, so let's get the component. Well, actually, yep, we almost forgot again. Let's test. Let's make sure we restored the connection. Let's go to the positive 15 volt rail and this pad. Okay, we're good. We're back in business again. Just want to make sure that we're not shorting across this capacitor now that we have a wire underneath there. Nope. Okay. So let's flip this around. Okay, good. So let's clean this up a bit. All right. Now let's double check again that we have everything we were looking for. Get this in focus. Okay, minus 15 volts to this pin. Good. Ground on this pin and this pin, and positive 15 on this pin and not on this pin. Good. Good. Yeah, anytime you put a wire under one of these surface mount capacitors, you got to make sure you didn't end up shorting across it, because the pins are so close together. All right, so good. So we've repaired that. So now it's just a matter of, I guess, I'm gonna check a few more components before I go and zap this back into the receiver, just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. I mean, at this point I still could throw it in there just to see if anything's changed. But I just got a few more caps I want to look at before I do that. So stay tuned. And if you like what you see here, you can subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you in the next one.